Okay, so welcome everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. Today I have a special guest from, is it Scotland?
Yes,
Is it? From Scotland, one of my favorite places actually on the earth. Yes, she's called Marianne, and she's a colleague of mine, yogi and holistic therapist, healer. So I'm super excited to have you here today. Um, Tell us a little bit about yourself. Yeah, where are you tuning from? Is it Scotland today or somewhere else around the world? And what do you do as well? And yeah, just let's start with that.
thank you so much, R.A.D.K.A. Thank you, first of all, for having me on today. I would say that it's been a few years that we've been studying together with a wonderful school called Kashish Yoga. And Radhika is just an absolute inspiration in terms of everything that she brings to the table. And she's always got something on the go. So as soon as you said you were doing this, I was like, absolutely, I would love to come. So thank you so much. My name's Marianne, as Radhika said. I live in Scotland with my 6-year-old daughter, who is an absolute firecracker. She's amazing. And I do quite a few different things actually. I've got a lot of strings to my bow just now. So I teach yoga part-time, and I teach a mix of yin yoga, vinyasa yoga, and hatha yoga, so that it gives people, a good bit of variation and they can feel through the styles and how it benefits their body. And I've got a contrasting corporate role as well just now in the legal system. And that has been wonderful for me because it's really helped me to learn a lot of practical business tools. But as well as that, I've done quite a lot of work in the vulnerability space as well. So, learning how we can really support people who have vulnerabilities and how we can really identify them well as well. And I think that will be really important for my work going forward. And I firmly believe it's been part of my soul's path and also lessons for me as well based on the past. And I've also studied something called neural reframe therapy, which is just absolutely amazing. So I'm a Gemini sun and moon, and I'm a Libra rising, so I don't have any issues communicating at all. Like I can openly express my feelings. But what I've learned through my family and friends is that for some people talk therapy just is not great for them. Um, and this type of therapy is amazing because you can have a smaller talk side of it or a larger talk side. And it's about rewiring the neural pathways in the brain to create brand new patterns and brand new beliefs. So I use things such as the gamma mindset technique within it. And what I've studied from yoga has really, really helped me. As you'll know, Radhika, our gurus and our teachers in Kashish are incredible. They've got lots of ancient knowledge that they have imparted on us, which is absolutely amazing, and not just what you would think related to yoga. So the way that I teach is very much based on how can it heal the body, how can it heal the mind, how can it heal the soul, which I'm sure is similar to yourself, rather than it being exercise based, as a lot of people will see it as well. So the neuro reframe therapy works really, really well with that because you can stretch away your emotions as well, and you can impact different organs and body parts as well. And then I've also studied a plant-based nutritional certification as well, which has been absolutely amazing because it's given me lots of tools to self-heal, but also given me lots of knowledge in terms of things like what are the essential minerals that your body needs, and what you might feel if you're lacking in a specific vitamin as well. So I definitely want to carry on my studies with that. And then I think the final thing I mentioned to you is I'm literally just about to start somatic therapy training, which I've been given 2 soul path readings by 2 completely different people, one who lives in Dubai, one who lives in England, and they've both said the word, you're supposed to study somatic therapy. I was like, so no bigger signs from the universe than two people who I hadn't met before telling me that. And then seeing the universe sending me lots of signs about it. So I'm about to start that. And from what I know so far, it's all about how you can impact the fascia in your body and release and rid the emotions that you don't even know you might be holding on to that can cause physical symptoms in your body. And how all the organs, like they say in traditional Chinese therapy and Ayurvedic medicine as well, your organs can sort of manifest physical symptoms in your body if you're not dealing with those emotions and letting go of them as well. So that's sort of what I've been up to across the last few years.
That's so interesting, absolutely fascinating, actually. But it is really good when you say that you study so many different modalities and variations of holistism, if you want to call it. I don't know if such a word exists, holistism. But yeah, it is like to be able to help a being, a human being, or it may be a dog, a being. I believe that sometimes just the one approach is not, it's enough for a start maybe, but not to go deep to the root cause. It's need a little bit more wide range, and we to be able to be fully, to be able to help in a full spectrum, one needs to have a bit deeper knowledge and to look at it a different perspective, from different angles. And I'm like you, I like education, and I have studied so many different things. I even don't mention them anymore. But all of that has enriched me, and this is what I'm passing now to my students so that I can help them to the maximum and they can help others as well. That's really good. I would like to ask you what brought you on that path? How it happened you to look exactly at what you're doing today? Why you didn't choose to do something else? I don't know why you didn't become a lawyer or uh, a cleaner or I don't know anything else, Why exactly that? And what was like the cause you to start, I don't know, healing yourself or maybe helping others? What's the story behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. My life path is turning out so different than I thought it would. I think looking back now, I didn't really know what I wanted to do when I was younger. I was sort of between art and design, which is still a passion of mine. And I studied Spanish as well, which I absolutely loved. So I ended up choosing a degree that was business related plus the languages. And that has learned me so many skills, managerial skills, coaching skills. So I worked as a bank manager first for about 12 years. And before that, worked in financial advice myself. So that's taught me so many people related skills too. So I firmly believe that everything happens for a reason. But I think as time's gone on, I've sort of realised that you need to turn your pain into your power. So things that have happened along the years for me, I'm getting this urge within myself that feels like it's wasted energy and it's wasted things that have happened if I don't then share how I can help and support other people, if that makes sense. So I think the journey that I've been on, I know from my childhood experiences that everything was meant to happen. And sometimes that can be quite hard to actually accept because things can be traumatic and they can be painful. But it's thinking about how can we transmute those times into something positive. And that's really what I've been trying to do. And don't get me wrong, it gets very hard sometimes. But it's probably started as a child. I seemed probably quite calm on the surface and a lot of times. And in fact, someone gave me a reading before and they said, when people look at you, they see, calmness and confidence. And she said, you're like a river where the top seems fine and then underneath it's like, and your mind's like overdrive. There's anxiety there, but you've got this exterior that you can really put on where no one would know. And it was so true. But I think I always grew up not wanting to worry people. And so there were emotions that I held on to as a result of experiences. So I think I mentioned my dad, unfortunately, or as it was meant to be, suffered from the disease that is alcoholism. And I know now through my studies that that is addictions are caused by an imbalance of your root chakra and your sacral chakra. So those govern your sense of safety, your sense of security, the sacral chakra, your sense of self. And he definitely had an imbalanced solar plexus. So there was lots of unresolved anger there. And then I know that as it started to move to his heart, deep down, he really did have a good heart, but he just did not know how to process everything that occurred to him. And in fact, looking back now, I know that I think he was going through a spiritual awakening and didn't actually know how to handle it because he didn't have the support or the tools and these types of things that I've now had the benefit of experiencing, especially through, being able to access everything online and having a wealth of information. It's really helped me, and generationally, I don't think people had that type of information and support to help them. Um, my dad also used to say to me when I would encourage him to talk and say, like, talk about your feelings, tell me how I can help you. He always used to say, which at the time I never understood, but he used to say, talking doesn't help me, it makes me worse. And I think this is why I've been guided to this path of the neuro reframe therapy, for example, because you use things such as sound healing, meditation, different techniques of releasing, trapped emotion in your body that helps to raise your vibration and helps you to feel better without you having to say too much. And as the practitioner, you you can give people positive affirmations to say if they cannot think of them themselves, because some people aren't in that place yet where they can think of all the things that they want to rewire into their mind. So that type of thing I know would absolutely have helped my dad. But as a result of what he went through, it led me to be a very, very anxious child. And especially in my adolescent years, in my teenage years, I was walking around with a sense of worry constantly about what was going to happen next, about whether he would be in hospital, about whether he would show up for me and my brother. We had that, abandonment issues since we were younger, prioritizing alcohol over coming to collect us from my mum's house. It was not nice at times at all. And I know that it's because he was in massive amounts of internal pain himself. But these types of things led me to be very anxious growing up, and I almost felt a sense of responsibility and always wanting to try and make things better. Um, so that was definitely impacted my journey a lot, I would say. And then another traumatic event that happened when I was 20 was my best friend, who I had been friends with since birth because my mum and her mum were at school together. She sadly passed away in a car accident. And at the time, she had a daughter who was just over the age of 2. So that was it was unpredictable, and it completely shocked me to my core. It really impacted my nervous system. For years, I walked about in a state of what I would probably call, and someone described to me as, an impending sense of doom. Not thinking, right, what bad thing's going to happen next. And that ignited a lot of the immune still symptoms in my body because I was holding on to that trauma and unable to process it. I can remember R.A.D.K.A went to the doctors and I saw this particular male doctor, and I was in and out within 9 minutes, I think. And I explained what had happened. I explained the anxiety that I felt, after losing my best friend. And he said to me, I think you're suffering from anxiety and depression. Here's this form, take it home and fill it in. And sent me home with a tick checklist. And when I look back on that now, I can remember looking at it and sitting on my couch feeling hopeless and thinking, of course I'm feeling anxious and depressed because I've lost someone. I didn't expect it. I had no time to adjust to it. And it's someone that's been in my life for the whole of my life. And that I think has helped me as well to, look at different ways to help people to calm their nervous system and my own. And studies into the vagus nerve, for example, and how it runs from the back of your brain, which can also be called your spiritual center, and covers all of your organs, especially down to your gut. So when someone feels an emotion, no wonder they feel like they possibly feel like they could be punched in the stomach, because those nerve endings are sending off signals in your body. So these two events, I would say, probably are what's led me on this path. And then working in the role as a bank manager, I loved it to begin with, and I learned so much from it, but I just knew towards the end of it that it wasn't for me. And then COVID came, and I suffered from long COVID, which led me on a healing journey as well, looking to try and detoxify my body. And that's how yoga came about, because I danced for years, so I loved stretching. My dance teacher was old school. We basically stretched and moved our bodies, prepared our bodies 2 nights a week, and then we were allowed to dance 1 night a week. So I missed that after I left and I went to uni. And so during COVID, when I was stuck in a room for 2 weeks isolating, I just started delving in. I can remember I was in my spare bedroom, which was really small. I had space basically for the bed and a yoga mat. And I just did yoga for 2 weeks solid, and then started listening to all these amazing podcasts and things like from Dr. Michael Beckwith. And I wrote down at the time, which I do not understand where it came from, based on the fact that at the time I was a bank manager and I was in my spare room just starting yoga. And I wrote down at the time, when he asked, "What is your soul's purpose?" after a meditation, I wrote, "I am an energetic healer." And then afterwards, I was like, where did that come from? And I don't understand it. And then I left it on a piece of paper for for ages, and then I got offered redundancy about a year and a half after that, and I came across this piece of paper again, and I was like, that is my sign that I am supposed to start moving into all of these studies. So when I got redundancy, I then went into the yoga teacher training and met yourself, and started studying from then, and I haven't stopped for the last sort of 3 and a bit years.
I know that feeling. Actually, my journey with the yoga started exactly during COVID, the golden era of COVID. This is how I call it. Many people hate it for, different reasons, but that was for me my savior, the boat that I had to catch to heal myself, and, of course, to pass it down the generations. I would like to ask you, like, what was before, like, what's different now actually? You told me the story. You told me how you met yoga and that new thing. I cannot remember it.
Neural therapy.
Yeah, that neuro. I cannot remember it. Sorry. What's the difference now after you have qualified, after you have gone through that inner healing? How those things helped you? How they changed your life? And why, of course, what's make you go ahead and help others with them? Like, what has changed in your world?
Yeah,
Did they change in any way, that anxiety, that depression, or is it still with you? Or how long was that journey if there was a change? Was it instant or it took quite a journey? I don't know. Just tell us a bit more about that.
absolutely. The thing that I have been learning, and it's always, I think, a work in progress, is that it's a journey, and it's not a straight line journey either. I've had lots of signs about that. So it's like that general spiral where you're moving up and up and up the vibrational scale. But then sometimes things happen and it sends you back down, and you're like, why am I feeling like this again? And it can be frustrating.
I feel like that today.
But it happens, doesn't it? And the thing is, I think one of the massive things the whole experience has given me is acceptance. So things aren't always going to work out the way that you want, even if you're trying, so hard. Sometimes actually the universe is asking you to surrender and say, oh, I give up. Like, I'm in the middle of this. Like, just try not let it impact me in the way that I did before. So it's absolutely a journey. I did get to a point, and I think this happened to show me exactly how it feels, where I honestly felt as if I felt towards enlightenment. And I think what happens is your guides in the universe dangles that carrot so that you feel it, and it's like, right, this is now what you need to work back towards, is a consistent feeling of this joy and this enlightenment and the higher end of the vibrational scale. And I would say the thing that's happened for me is I now have the tools to cope with what life throws at you. And I don't always get it right. And I don't think anyone, if they're honest, ever does. And I think that's one of the bigger learnings for me, especially as someone who's a type A personality and a perfectionist in the past. And that is my work in progress, is saying, okay, it doesn't have to be perfect. You are where you are, you're doing your best. And as long as you know you're doing your best, then that is good enough. So it's helped me in that sense. When I feel anxiety brewing now, what happens is I can recognize it in my system before it comes to overwhelm. So I used, especially after my best friend passed away, I had panic attacks and felt like I couldn't cope. There were days where I just couldn't get out of bed. That type of thing does not happen to me anymore. Obviously, time, as people say, is a healer, because you go through all the cycles of grief and anger and then eventually get to a space of acceptance at times. But I think it's the coping mechanisms that it gives you, and the realization that knowing what you start to feel if anxiety is beginning to rear its head, or if fear is beginning to rear its head. I know how to deal with it now. So it still happens to me. And I think there's definitely been some bigger life events across the last couple of years that have seen me go from that joyful, enlightened phase back down a bit again, and I'm working that way back up. But I think all of the tools that I've got, and definitely I know from the guidance I've been given for this somatic therapy, is going to be amazing. And I truly think it's going to help me and allow me to help others more as well. Um, I think in the abandonment side of things, having abandonment wounds is common for a lot of people who either have had it through relationships or through their parents. And I would say how it's changed me as well is when I've done this healing and I've released a lot of the emotions, I'm now able to accept that people are either a lesson or a blessing in your life. So some people are meant to come, and then they're meant to leave after you learn what you learn about them or from them. And it might be stuff that you learn about yourself to then improve yourself, which I've had lots of that. And it might be stuff that you learn about other people where you look at that situation and you say, that's not who I want to be, and I don't want to be in that vibration. So the work has really helped me to be comfortable with the fact that let people go if they're meant to go, and let people come if they're meant to come, and let people stay if they're meant to stay. Um, yeah, and I think just understanding that who you are is enough, that none of us are broken, that we're just trying to get rid of conditioning sometimes, or false belief patterns, not only that we've created for ourselves, but sometimes it's beliefs that we've taken on board that we don't actually realize we're allowing to impact. So one person I worked with, for example, they didn't even know until we went through the neuro reframe therapy, and they did some sound healing and they did some meditation and some breath work. Their answers just came to them, and it's stuff that they weren't allowing themselves to come up from their subconscious. And this is a dear friend that I have, and I'd ran some sessions with her. And actually, the feeling of not being good enough stemmed from a specific teacher in her childhood that used to tell her that she would amount to nothing and that she wasn't good enough and that she was stupid. And she was like, I can't believe, she said, I've been holding on to this and I didn't know it, because that voice in my head isn't hers. It was that person's telling her those things. And that's absolutely where the sort of the therapy comes from. So I think it is all about the coping mechanisms and, the calming of the nervous system. That is the key thing. I think toning your vagus nerve and learning to move from the sympathetic state into the parasympathetic state and allowing yourself the space to relax and just learn and understand what's going on for life, what's going on in life, and how it might actually be a roundabout lesson for you because it's teaching you something and it's learning something. So that's really what the healing's done for me.
That was so well explained. Do you know today? I'll share with the community what happened today. I was filming since 6 o'clock this morning, and actually the last lesson I filmed was exactly about self-observation and how it brings self-awareness. And and everything got deleted. I don't know how, I don't know why, but from 6 o'clock this morning, now it's 6 o'clock in the evening, I created about 10 or 14 videos and all went down in two different languages. And honestly, I was absolutely shattered. And now listening to what you're saying is exactly what I was teaching in some of those, recordings, the students. But the point here is that, as you said, everything is a lesson. I don't know what's the lesson in that for me. Maybe I'm trying to give too advanced tools to people who are not ready for them, or I don't know. I really don't know. I will find the answer, but everything in life is lesson, as you said. Everything. It's like this is how I understand it as well. It's not only coping, but it brings you, I think, the techniques that we have learned because we learned some of them together, they bring you a greater awareness, like they make you aware of a lot more they put you into a different angle to you to see from a different angle the situation. This increase your awareness and this as well give you better choices, if I can say this way. You understand that you're not limited to what you believe or there is something beyond that and you can progress. So this is why I'm so passionate as well about the whole, the podcast. This is what it aims. I would like to bring more people here to talk about the beauty and the way they understand it, because each of us, doesn't matter that we all teach yoga, we understand it from a different perspective, and this is what makes the picture whole. And we say it in a different manner so that dif- the different people can grasp it the way that they can. This is the point of all of that. I'm so glad that you came, honestly, and you're so open to share that information, because whenever I invite people, some people don't share the whole story, they withhold, they're not ready yet, maybe. Others share, of course, a lot more on a deeper level because maybe they're a little bit more healed or a little bit more grown, more evolved in consciousness or whatever you want to call it. And I think doesn't matter how short or long, or deep the story is, it's still aimed, to help the people who listen or watch to grasp that. Now I would like to ask you, what do you work now? Like you said, a bit of a yoga. So do you work one-on-one or all that holistic therapy? Can you hear me well? I, I
Yes.
I think it's cutting a bit. Okay. Uh, like, how do you work? Do you work one-on-one? Do you work with groups? You said you used to be part of the corporate world. Are you still part of it with some maybe well-being programs, or just still part of it as a corporate person? How do you work? How do you help the society?
Yes, no, I'm still involved in the corporate side of it and working, as I say, mainly on the vulnerability side of it. And I just now I have been teaching yoga on a face-to-face basis and then running workshops separately. So, I, I've had gone through a sort of number of different topics. So Ayurveda, which I think we've both studied, so the science of self-healing, which is just amazing to help you understand your body composition, your natural composition, where your emotions may come from. And that has really helped me, I think, to understand my family and what they might be feeling as well, and not take things so personally too. Um, and some of the other workshops that I've run are more focused around about the yin side of things and traditional Chinese medicine and looking at the meridian lines in the body and how we can sort of stretch away stress and tension from our body by using these meridian points as well, and nutritional hints and tips. So I'm running workshops on a face-to-face basis as well. But the next thing that I want to do is to launch these workshops online so that I can help more people on a larger scale platform on a national or an international level. Now that I've got the material there, I feel that would be the natural next step is to help and support people. And I'd love to do that both on a one-to-one and group basis, because some people just don't feel comfortable doing that in a group or sharing, as you say, and may not feel ready yet. And for others, they're quite open to doing so on a group basis as well. I do think for me, one of the key things in healing is food related. So, having a high vibrational diet, as it can be called, and eating organically wherever you possibly can, and reducing your exposure to toxins, both in your environment and what you put into your body. I think that is absolutely a must, because otherwise, what happens is you can't properly cleanse your body and cleanse your mind if you're consuming toxins and processed food. So for me, that's one of the things that I'm really passionate in sharing about people, because to heal your mind and your soul, I think you need to heal your body as well. And your body, if it's not working at its optimum, health levels, it can be then very difficult for you to have the energy to focus on ridding those emotions that you need to as well. And actually, some of the things you may discover that it's a bit of both. It might be emotions that you're holding on to the body, but it might also be those toxins that you're holding on to in the body that are causing symptoms for you. So things like carrying out heavy metal detoxes, if you've got any mercury fillings, if you've been exposed to mold, if you've been exposed or been consuming processed foods that are high in chemical content, E numbers or fillers, etc. All of that can then impact your gut brain axis. So it might be one thing or the other, or it might be both that you need to work on in terms of the emotions and cleaning up your diet and your environment as well. So for me, it's been both, and that's led me down the route to my studies. So yeah, that's the next steps. I want to launch a program where basically people are able to look at healing, but from all different angles. And I think that's where my studies have led to, is healing the body, healing the mind, healing the soul, and all of the things that I've studied brought together will help people to do that. Because as you say, everyone's story is completely different, everyone's circumstances are different. So being able to help people to work through and understand what's going on in their body and what's going on in their emotions really helps people to make the best amount of progress.
That's excellent. So, if people want to reach out to you, they can find you face to face in the classroom at the moment. And do you do coaching one on one or?
Yeah, I've started doing that as well. So I have an Instagram page which is marianne.devlin, and I've got another page that I've just started called Awakening the Wellness, which is my business brand. And so they'd be very welcome to contact me on there, and I'll send you the details of that over as well. And yeah, I'd be delighted to start working with people. And as I say, the somatic therapy, I'm hoping to have that, done and dusted within the next month so that I can incorporate that into it as well, because I've got a lot of the other materials already prepared. So yeah, reach out to me if you're interested, and we can look at dates that suit both yourself and myself, and start the journey.
Yeah, so and your links, we will put them into the description of the video so that people can reach out to you. And yeah, and is there anything else, any event coming you want to share with us to promote it? A group event maybe in your local area or online, or something that you have planned for the next month or this month, or I don't know, in the near future?
Yeah, I'm delighted to for anyone to contact me. I'm hoping to run a group program which starts in the middle of August, and that would be round about starting to heal the body first through the diet, and then starting to move into the emotional side of things as well. So please contact me if you're interested, and I can let you know more about it. But as I say, it's based on most of the things that we have discussed through today. So ensuring that you've got that emotional support there, the support from a dietary perspective as well, and also the ability to sort of move the feelings through the body as well, whether that be through yoga or the somatic therapy in future as well. But yeah, I'm very excited about being able to help more people, and everything that I've learned across the last few years, just like yourself, like the knowledge that we've gained from our traditional Indian school is just, it's amazing. And I know how much it's really, really, really helped me. And I know that it can be hard sometimes to stay in a routine. I'm a single mum with a 6-year-old daughter, and trying to study and work and run my own business. So sometimes I can feel the frustration, but I need to keep reminding myself that bringing it back to the things that work are what give you the energy to then be able to achieve all of these things and to be able to be the best mum. So taking, lots of time for self-care for yourself early in the morning or when the wee one's in bed. It's amazing to do, and there's just so many different practices and techniques that we've learned across the years that really help people to feel good before they go to sleep and feel good when they wake up in the morning. And that it it has such a positive impact on your day if you actually take the time for yourself to take these practices into place, things such as meditation and breath work, journaling, eating healthily. So it's all of the experience that we've learned really that I want to help other people to understand things that might be good for them. I mean, I've tried a million different holistic therapies. I've tried lots of different healing modalities, and sometimes one thing's better for me than the other. So it's getting to understand the tools that are available to you and what feels good to your body and what actually works. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would say is, if you've not found what works for you yet, don't give up and assume, you know, that's it. There's a million different things out there, genuinely a million different things, and your body will tell you what is the right one for you.
Yes, that was really great sharing. Thank you so much, because people think that they need to spend hours and hours on the mat, or, to do something, I don't know, crazy, but that's not like that. Actually, because we decided probably to study it as teachers, we spent a bit longer time. Actually, even I think we had the choice if we go through the program for a month, 2 months, or 3 months, uh, which means that it can be still a little bit more relieved, depended from our day shadow. But actually, the techniques are so short, as short as 3 to 5, 10 minutes in the morning or in the evening, and all your day is completely different from what it used to be. everything switches, like the switch, for a second or 3 minutes and you're switched.
You never regret it, do you? Like if
Yes.
things like Nadi Shodhana, the alternate nostril breath where you're breathing in through one nostril, covering, and then breathing out the other, it puts you into that parasympathetic nervous system state. And actually, when we teach people it, you can see the relief on people's faces, as you say, after 3 to 5 minutes of even doing that. If we're honest, we all have the time to make that 5 minutes. Even if it was that one thing you did, it could totally change your whole day just by allowing you to move into that parasympathetic state where you're rested, you feel well digested, and you're calmer. Things such as journaling, I've got a book just now that I'm absolutely loving called The Artist's Way. And the author talks about writing morning pages and just getting out whatever's in your head, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent. Because if it's not out of your head, it's still in there all day. Your body's hanging on to it. So it's, taking 5 minutes every day to write 3 pages down of whatever you're feeling, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, whether it's about your to-do list, just to, get it out there. It's these types of practices alongside the breath work, the meditation, the yoga that all help. And the more you do it, the more your body craves it and the better you feel as you go.
Is that journaling in the morning or in the evening? I would, for example, if I have to choose, I would choose maybe the evening, because even though I'm tired, somehow I still have things that I would like to put on a sheet of paper in the morning. I actually see in the morning I condition myself before I get up out of bed. Like, I go probably a bit in that alpha state, just before you wake up, that conscious sleeping. And then I condition myself for the day, especially if I know I'll have a busy day. I didn't knew I do that, by the way. I found it out during a coaching, because, I'm a master coach. So we had to coach each other as a practice, and they took it out of me. I didn't know. So I just find out on a session which was super crazy. I had to learn a bit more about myself. So in the morning, yeah, I just while I'm in bed, I I condition myself for a success, even in bed, to
Mhm.
internally. So once I get up, I'm just ready to hit the day straight away without stopping, even if you won't say it. It is an internal process that I do.
Yeah.
So
So
in the morning, maybe I don't know if I would like to do that, or I would have the time, or I don't know. I haven't thought about it. But in the evening, yes. And as longer as I stay in the evening, as more process I can, I start to channel, if you want to call it, like
yeah,
typing, and especially in the evening. I don't know why is that. There are evenings when I can stay till 2, 3 a.m. and just write, like a proper thing coming through me.
yes. It might be the pitta dominance, the fire dominance, because they say that time's between 10 and 2 in the morning, isn't it? And I do find that, like, if get to bed at a decent time, that's me till like 1 in the morning. I get this extra surge of energy, and I'm like, oh, I could do this, or I could do this, I could do this. So yeah, it could very much be that. Um, I'm the same as you. I quite like writing in the evening, but I've been trying it in the morning because the author of The Artist's Way says that if you're getting out anything that you need to, it's then leaving that space for positivity in your day. But I would say doing it in the evening, if you don't manage in the morning, is great, or if you can do both. I've gone through periods of doing both when I've been in an amazing routine, and it's been brilliant for me. But I think is listen to what's right for you, because as you say, if you've got that set up where you're waking up and you're able to sort of go into the alpha state and meditate in your bed in the morning and set a positive routine for yourself for the day, that is amazing. It's amazing to do.
Can I ask you, when you write, what do you write on the paper? I mean, do you, I don't know, do you throw heavy thoughts, if you have any, because you may not have any? Or do you put gratitude, or do you put something that come like a story? Or I don't know, what do you put? Or anything you can put.
I put anything that's come into my mind first, especially feelings that might be coming up, random things such as I'm worried I'm not going to have enough time today to do X, Y, and Z, I feel under pressure or I feel stressed about this or this, just to get it out of my system. And then what always ends up happening is I then start going, but I'm grateful for this, I'm grateful for that, I feel like this is going to go well. And for me, it's almost a process of getting out what's worrying me on paper first. And my mind almost does the reflection piece and then moves into the reframe piece of, but this is what's good that's going on, and it's just a worry, and I will manage, and I will do this, and I'll organise this. And it lets me move from a state of, worry or fear or sadness or whatever it may be into that positive place of, but I've got it. I've always got it. And that's the thing that I think really helps me for doing it in the morning, that I've discovered, is that I've got this knack of writing down what I need to get out and then moving into a positive place, because internally in my mind I'm always like, right, but move it into a positive note, like what's good that can come from it. And I find it really, really helpful.
Excellent. That's great for sharing. And by the way, I like that you said reframing, because this is a coaching technique. And many people probably don't know that, but that reframing is extremely important when it comes, to changing, to making that switch. I love the conversation with you today. Marian, thank you so much, honestly, for accepting, because there was a great flow, and somehow I have the feeling that I have the feeling, honestly, that whatever I was thinking or experiencing, you verbalize it in some way. I do not meet, I meet a lot of professionals, but not always like so likely, like so the same, even if you want to say it this way. And I'm super grateful, actually, really, that you accepted this invitation and you express yourself in so simple way, because it's important people to understand it in the way you explain it. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to add or to say, or I don't know, anything that comes to mind, to heart?
Um, I think probably the final thing I would want to say is, for anyone who's suffering from any kind of physical symptoms, start to tell yourself that you have more power over your own health than you realise. And I think as soon as you start to tell yourself that, there'll be things that the universe will send in for you that are going to help you. Because that's one of the biggest things that I've learned. If you feel helpless and you feel vulnerable and you stay in that, that's when things can sort of spiral for you. But if you try and open yourself up to receiving signs about what is the next step for you and what is good for you, I work a lot now with angels and asking for angelic guidance. And I would say that has been life changing for me. And years ago, if you'd said that to me, I'd have been like, what are you talking about? You're off your head. But that has, like, the signs that I've had are absolutely crazy. Like, some of the things I'm like, what has actually happened? I'll give you one example. After my dad passed away, I was on the train to London with my friend. We were going down to a concert, and she was taking me there kindly, my good friend Abigail, to cheer me up. And I started telling her about how all these white feathers had started appearing in the inside of my house. I still have the jar of them, I've collected them all. And I was like, this is like, how do they get there? I don't know. So I asked the universe for a sign, and I said, if all of these feathers are from my dad, show me the biggest white feather that I've ever seen in my life. And then my thought process started going to, well, I'm going to London. There's probably lots of doves in London. Like, I'll probably see white feathers everywhere, and then I'll be doubting that it's doves. So we're on this high speed train from Leicester down to London, which is like an hour and a half, and it only stops in one other place. So we're chugging along. Both of us are having a chat. Abigail sadly lost her mum a couple of years before that to cancer. So we were, talking through things, and she was talking about some signs that she's had from her mum as well. And I looked out of the train window, bearing in mind it's going, I don't know, 70 miles plus an hour. I don't know how fast a high speed train is. It must be even faster, over 100 miles an hour. And I looked out the window, and you'll see it on my Instagram page, this massive cloud in the shape of a white feather that must have been about 30 foot. And it's like a line with it couldn't be anything but the shape of a feather. I looked out the window and I was like, tapped her and I was like, Abigail, are you seeing this as well? And she looked out and she was like, oh my goodness, that's amazing. And I told her what I'd asked for. So I took a picture of it. And then 2 minutes later, I was going to, no, I was like, that maybe it wasn't a feather. So bearing in mind, because the train's going so fast, I looks back out, the sky's blue again, and 2 minutes later, I look out the window and it's there again, and I took another picture. And I was just like, if that is not a sign to you that there's people and spirit guides and, energy there, and the universe is willing to support you, to ask for, the sign that you're supported, then I don't know what, and there's been a million different experiences since then for me. But yeah, to bring it back to that, if you're going through physical symptoms, start asking for the signs of what you should do to heal. Start asking your spirit guides, start asking, for angelic protection as well. And know that you've got more power than you realize. So a lot of the things, I think we're conditioned to believe that you need to go down the medical route, you need to go down the pharmaceutical route, but actually a lot of the time that's actually just masking the symptoms and not getting to the root cause of what's wrong or what's going on in your body. And it will generally be coming from something that's either toxin related in your environment, your relationships, your diet, or it's coming from emotion that you're holding on to. And that is generally what manifests as a state of dis-ease in your body. And you've got the power to impact it, and you'll get the answers that you need as long as you trust.
That was fantastic. By the way, when you said about angels, that honestly, so we have so many connections. I don't know. I don't know how it happened, but I was as well like you, doubting so many times. Not so much feathers. I got drawn to the feathers lately, but I have a shamanic drum with a raven on it.
Wow.
Raven or something like that. You know, that big black bird? Is it raven? It's raven. And I didn't want it a raven. I bought the drum and it came with a stamp raven. Later on, I understood that it can be without a stamp or with something else. I wanted a snake because I'm not going to explain it now. But anyway, so yeah, but with the angels, honestly, for many years, I didn't know how to call myself. Now I call myself spiritual coach, spiritual holistic coach, because this is what I believe to be. And for some reason, I was connecting spirituality with religion. I don't
Mhm.
know why. Maybe because it's English is a second language for me. You know, it's not my mother language, and certain words I I was thinking about that lately. How I understand the information that I receive in English and how I understand it in Bulgarian. Because you know, it I can listen to the same piece of information and get it into a different angle. I don't know why and how. This is now what I'm observing, what's going on in my head. But yeah, for some reason I was thinking spirituality is religion, you know, religious thing, not spirituality, that it is separate. And this year, everything started to happen this year, you know, that big opening to me to finally accept that I am spiritual leader or whatever. I said it, okay, I'm spiritual leader. Because they were telling me and I didn't want it to accept it. I was fighting, resisting it. I didn't feel special, if you want to call it this way. And I still don't feel special, but now I started recognizing it because otherwise I got sort of punished. And this year, I don't know, I was just out in town, in Skipton, somewhere there, browsing in a town. And there is a small shop with spiritual things. I have my bottle with a big crystal is inside. Um, the father of all crystals, a clear quartz, and water bottle I have. And as well, there were some cards there. And for some reason, I went in and I was looking for a set of cards that when I was at an event in Sweden, I really liked those cards, but I didn't remember their name. I'll show you the cards. Just give me a second. So I went in that shop, and straight in front of me were those of the Divine Masters from Kyle Gray. Yeah, you can sort of see them.
Yeah.
I cannot tell you how this picture, it was just talking to me. It was just something like somebody took me for the head and put me exactly in front of them. And I instantly picked them up. I didn't know who is Kyle Gray. Now I know a little bit more about him, but just the picture, and I said, okay. I said, I'm going to, to see them, to have them. And then next to them somewhere, there was the crystal spirit oracle, and because if you look at them, they look a little bit like each other, there is a bit of a magic somehow, sparkle,
Mhm.
something sparkly. And they weren't so cheap. And I said, okay, which one should I buy? I cannot afford both. And this one or this one, but this was really, calling me the Divine Masters. But at the same time, the lady said, why don't you buy them both? One is crystals, the other is spirits. And I said, crystals, I'm not into crystals, but I don't know why it's calling me. It's really awkward. I don't know, you know. And I said, what I'm going to do with those cards? But something was telling me, Radka, get them, get them. So I bought them both, get out of the shop. I think I spent my vast amount of money that I had on the card, believe me. It was one of those crazy moments of shopping therapy, if you want to call it.
Uh-huh.
And I went out, and after that, my life completely changed. I'm drawing every single day a card of this deck. And I don't know the way that it is written inside. I don't know if you have this deck, but the
No.
way that every card is written inside, it's like talking to me in such a special way.
Mhm.
Like I cannot explain it. And things start to fall into place. And
Mhm.
after that, I got so mad for crystals. If I turn you the camera to see how many crystals I'm surrounded with, I'm telling you, mad. Absolutely mad.
I'm
Uh,
home
um, mm,
from Ireland.
Here everything is covered, literally, absolutely everything. Like, see that crystal, this crystal, so many crystals. I don't know. It's tiger eye and citrine and all sorts. Actually, some of them were gifted to me. Those two were gifted from the same person, and then the others start to appear somehow from. I start buying them, but it's really strange that the crystals. I was thinking that, by the way, last night or the night before, that the crystals is the Mother Earth,
Yeah.
and the divine masters are the angels, because there is Jesus in that, like the God creature from the higher realm. One is the bottom, the other is the top, and everything meets in the heart.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering how I choose exactly those two, not something else. Why the ground? Why the mother? Why the crystals? And by the way, now I'm looking for some crystal healing courses.
Mhm.
Actually, I already know how to do crystal healing, but if I started downloading information that you know available freely, like channeling it, if you want to call it, all sorts of information. And it's so really interesting about what you said about the angels. They do exist, angels, archangels, and guides. And I was honestly rejecting them for a very long time.
Mhm.
And somehow that rejection sometimes brings suffer internally. And once we accept, everything starts to flow so easily. And you're wondering why the heck I was rejecting so long and resisting, why? Why I just didn't accept it and just say, yes, go.
Because I do understand what you mean though, because like some of the things that have come to me, and I know what you mean about downloads, because the type of breath work that we've done helps to, some people go and take a drug, for example, called DMT to experience things. We've all got it in our lungs. So holotropic breath work and the types of breath work that we've done sends it up from your lungs into your pineal gland, which is a tiny little gland. That's effectively what your third eye is. And that is your center of intuition. So once you sort of spark that awake, things come to you that you just can't explain until you are actually awake, as they say, yourself. And I understand exactly what you mean. Like thoughts that come in, they're like, do this. This is what you should do. It's your higher self speaking to you and your guide speaking to you. And you're like, your logical old conditioned self is like, why is that thought coming into my head? That's wild. Like I get exactly what you mean. Like things that have come into my head about you need to go to this place, and I'm like, what? Why do I need to go to this place? You need to go to this place. And after my dad passed, actually, I went on a Buddhist meditation retreat, and like yourself, I've grown up in my dad's family were staunchly Catholic, went to a Catholic school, and now my belief is that all religions are derived to try and provide the same message of love and light, peace, kindness, and choosing the right path. But they've just been adapted and changed along the way by humans and the leaders. And some of it is still appropriate and some of it is completely twisted. And I think all of the leaders, the spiritual leaders, such as Jesus, Muhammad, the Buddhas, etc., they are all, or are all beings of light that are basically trying to help us to live our life in the right way. And, you know, the like you said, it's the spirituality side of it is more about understanding that we're all energy, as we've talked about, and that it's just about trying to follow good guidance and good leadership to help us through this human experience that we're on. And it's so interesting as well that you said about Kyle Gray, because I've got two of his books sitting here. He's a fellow Scot actually as well. He's from Scotland. And his Angel Prayers and Raise Your Vibration are two books that have absolutely helped me beyond belief. And before I came on this call, when you messaged me earlier saying, "Are you ready?" I was thinking, am I supposed to do this? And I felt drawn to go and pull some cards. I've got lots of Oracle decks now as well, which I never, ever, ever thought I would have. And I got his Archangel deck recently. And the for the card that fell out, I said, show me a sign if I'm supposed to be of service, right? And this card came out. I don't know if you can see it, but it's Archangel Charity and it says Pillar of Service. Like you can't write that out of all the 22 cards that could have fallen out. That came out and it was serve with a gracious heart and no God is serving you. And the next one that came out was Raguel for waves of healing. Be open and vulnerable as it will initiate healing and harmonious resolution. And that helped me before today's call because I thought, I'm supposed to be vulnerable and just say what I've been through and experienced across the years. And the last one was Archangel Raphael for clarity of vision, be willing to see things differently, to initiate healing and experience wholeness. And I think in the past, I have told the good bits and I do go about and I have these conversations with people that I know are sent to me to help me heal and that I know I'm supposed to have conversations with. And sometimes you don't tell the bits about, you being anxious or all the bad things you've experienced. You just tell them the good bits about how to, improve things and not necessarily what you've been through. So yeah, it's you were meant to mention that today as well, because there's never a coincidence, is there? There's never coincidences in life. Like, you just need to be open to seeing things. Another point you made actually about, the awareness piece made me think about something that some of our gurus have said to us, which is about sitting back and observing and not attaching to the emotion and knowing that it's going to pass. And if you attach onto it and say, words like, I am scared or I am anxious, change it to, in this moment, I am feeling this. However, I know that it will pass, and not actually defining yourself as that emotion. That has massively helped me as well. And I know it's allowed me to help other people by saying, it's a temporary phase, what you're feeling, and it's how much you can actually let go of that feeling and release it from your body and release it from your mind to allow it to move through. The feeling just wants to be felt and it wants to be acknowledged, and then it'll help move it out of your system, basically. But yeah, I love everything you're saying about crystals. Like, I'm sitting here holding a piece of selenite as well, which is which is like a self-charging crystal, and it charges other crystals, and it's amazing, isn't it? And again, like, years ago, I'd have been like, oh, like a bit of rock, or what. I would have had no interest. But when you start to feel the vibration off of it and the benefit that it brings you and the healing that you can receive from crystals, it's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. Today I feel like synchronicity. Like we're synchronized. I haven't felt like that for quite a while, to be honest with you. I'm so glad, honestly, that this happened. And when you said about the awareness, that it reminded you of something. Actually, I'm writing a book, and those cards help me to externalize the things that I have been through, like a system, my own system. How to that I put in order, what's after what is following, and how I become, aware, and just step by step. I think it will be called Radka's ladder, or I don't know, Radka's step to realization, or I don't know, getting to know thyself. I don't know yet. It's not clear, but everything that you said is yeah, it's great. I'm just writing it at the moment, so
Um,
I'm going to sit down and write. And those cards I wanted to say about Kyle Gray. He don't know me. I don't know him. I just have his cards for a while, but I believe, not think, I believe that he's of a very high one, probably of those higher beings in the cards, ascended masters sent here down to
mhm.
help us. And all the information that he channel, it's going to change massively the entire world to help white workers. And not only, even the other the other generations to wake up and open to more positivity. Just the way that he have written the information, if you open to it for a moment and read it, listen to it, it's absolutely so connecting, like so talking to the heart, to the soul.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal.
Mhm.
Yeah. And you can, as you understood it, you got the message in your own way. This is how I get the message in my own way from the way he have written it. It's so
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
The time is advancing. We don't have anybody in the room today to ask questions. I would like to thank you so much, honestly, for being my guest today. It was a real pleasure, honor. I don't know what to say. I wish you were here. I'd hug you. I have never met Marianne, by the way, in person, but I feel so close. Like I have the feeling we knew each other for quite a while. Like
Yeah.
I was going to say centuries, which is a bit awkward. But
I
yeah,
suppose not at all. There's people that honestly walked into across the last couple of years, and I've looked in their eyes and I've thought, I've known you from before, and I've never fit. like since things have awakened within me.
Yeah,
So I completely understand what you mean, and I feel exactly the same. You know, it's with you and things that you post and our chats with all our other yo guys. I really resonate with everything that you say, which is absolutely amazing. And so thank you so much for having me on your podcast today. I've absolutely loved it, and I would love to do it again sometime. And yeah, as I say, I very much admire you because you're just a spark of positive energy. You're always doing something to try and progress and to help people, which is
yeah.
just absolutely beautiful. So thank you very much.
Thank you. I don't always know that if it is visible, but lately many people told me what you said. And I just kept doing it more because there are periods when I start and then life happens.
Yes,
I stop and then I have to start again and somehow I lose the thread, but life happens. So I cannot be always 100%. And now the universe is sending me help, so hopefully it will stay this time for a little bit longer and everything will be as it should. So, yeah, thank you so much. Thank you, really. I will see you again soon. Thank you to everyone who listened to us. I'll put Marianne link at the description, and then you can get in contact with her anytime you want.
yeah, I would love to work with anyone. And similar to the discussion we've been having, I believe the universe puts the right people on your path. So the people that I will be able to help and support will come to me, and the people that you're able to help and support will come to you.
Yeah,
And yeah, I would very much look forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
thank you. Bye.